The concept of a Satanic New World Order has been a topic of debate and speculation for decades, with many believing it to be a group of powerful individuals seeking to control and manipulate world events to suit their own agendas. One of the most recent and pervasive tools being used to further this supposed agenda is climate change propaganda. By creating a sense of urgency and fear around the issue of climate change, the proponents of the New World Order are able to exert control over individuals and governments, suppressing dissent and opposition to their plans. At its core, the idea of a New World Order is rooted in the idea of a one-world government, where a small group of elite individuals would hold power and control over the entire globe. This would necessarily involve the erosion of national sovereignty and the suppression of individual freedoms, as the interests of the ruling elite would take precedence over those of the general population. Climate change propaganda plays perfectly into this narrative, as it creates a sense of global crisis that can only be addressed through collective action and the surrender of individual rights and freedoms. One of the primary ways in which climate change propaganda is being used to oppress us is through the creation of a culture of fear and guilt. By constantly bombarding the public with images and stories of environmental disaster and catastrophe, the media and governments are able to create a sense of panic and urgency around the issue. This, in turn, leads to a willingness on the part of individuals to surrender their freedoms and submit to the authority of those claiming to have the solutions to the problem. We see this in the form of carbon taxes, restrictive regulations on industry and commerce, and the ubiquitous presence of green initiatives and propaganda in our daily lives. Another key aspect of the climate change propaganda machine is the suppression of dissenting voices and alternative perspectives. Anyone who dares to question the prevailing narrative on climate change is immediately labeled as a denier or a skeptic, and is subject to ridicule, harassment, and even persecution. This creates a chilling effect where individuals are reluctant to speak out against the dominant view, fearing the consequences of doing so. This, of course, is a hallmark of totalitarian regimes, where dissent is not tolerated and opposition is crushed. The role of governments and international organizations in perpetuating climate change propaganda cannot be overstated. Through agreements such as the Paris Accord, governments are able to impose restrictive regulations and taxes on their citizens, all in the name of addressing the supposed crisis of climate change. The fact that these agreements are often negotiated in secret, without input or oversight from the general public, only adds to the sense of unease and mistrust that many people feel towards their governments. Furthermore, the climate change agenda is being used to push a wider range of policies and initiatives that have little to do with the environment, but everything to do with the consolidation of power and control. For example, the concept of sustainable development is often used as a euphemism for the imposition of socialist or communist-style economic policies, where individual rights and freedoms are subordinated to the needs of the collective. We also see the promotion of smart cities and green infrastructure, which often involve the deployment of surveillance technologies and the creation of dependent, high-tech economies that are vulnerable to manipulation and control. In conclusion, the use of climate change propaganda by the supposed Satanic New World Order is an insidious and pervasive phenomenon that threatens individual freedoms and national sovereignty. By creating a culture of fear and guilt, suppressing dissenting voices, and imposing restrictive regulations and taxes, the proponents of this agenda are able to exert control over individuals and governments, pushing us ever closer to a one-world government where the rights and freedoms of the individual are secondary to the interests of the ruling elite. It is essential that we remain vigilant and critical, questioning the dominant narrative and promoting alternative perspectives, if we are to have any hope of resisting this nefarious agenda and preserving our individual freedoms and autonomy.